So we've covered a lot, right? Let's take a minute to recap what we've covered so far. So we've talked about the history, the current trends, and a little bit about the ethics of what's going on with storytelling, content marketing, and this new tidal wave of AI copy gen that we see in the market right now. We've talked about our main question being, how are you going to stand out with your marketing copy, your marketing content in that tidal wave of partially AI generated content? Now, what we've said is that the only way to really stand out there is to think strategically about how you're going to be telling these stories and to use the human element of storytelling and human storytelling principles that are tried and tested and proven to make your stories more powerful in the way that they can help you reach your goals and the way they can help you help your audience reach their goals, right? We've gone over the storytelling principles and we've looked at, once you've mastered that, how can we actually improve our storytelling and our content creation process with the help of AI, making it faster and better. Next, once we've mastered that, is we're going to take these stories that we've created and we're going to expand the reach on the story, because there's nothing worse than taking all that hard work and not having it have the maximum impact it can in the world and in the market. So that's what we're going to look at next in this next segment. We're talking in the fourth segment of our presentation about how to 10x your reach and growth, how to get your story seen, heard, felt, and acted on by enough of the right people. And we're going to be talking about some smart strategic distribution processes and tools. And we're going to go over these fairly quick, because this is not a strategic session, but just to give you some context of how to actually use the content you're creating, but also how to think about it. So once again, thinking about the strategic use of your content and your copy is actually a part of prompt engineering. So remember the question, how can we tell more and better stories and share them more effectively, potentially as a team? Next to growth storytelling principles and tactics, it's about a good distribution strategy, framework and processes, and smart, data-driven, and human feedback loops. And what does that mean? If we go back to the growth storytelling model, right? And you remember on the left-hand side, we have the brand circle. On the right-hand side, we have the market circle. And we're trying to figure out what these stories are. And in the middle circle, we're trying to align these stories. And we create stories based on the structure of problem, solution, results. And if you look at the yellow line that's kind of squiggling through the model and the orange line, you see that that's how we start to share our story in the market. And in the lower right-hand corner, you see content marketing and data analysis, which is what actually happens in that part of the model. So that's where we share our story, and that's where we see what is actually happening, what is our market telling us about how they receive our story. Now, when thinking about this, you want to start by thinking about, where do your stories live, or should your stories live in your demand generation strategy? And once again, demand generation has been catching a lot of attention in the world, especially in the world of B2B and SaaS marketing, but it's definitely something that can be applied much, much more broadly in the marketing and business space. Now, where do your stories live in your strategy, and how to use your stories, insights, and other offerings to generate more quality leads, which is oftentimes, in the sense of marketing, one of the main goals that you want to achieve. So how do you do that? My friend and co-founder, CEO of StoryLab, Brian Cohen, actually wrote a book about this stuff, because he's been thinking about this and experimenting and working and getting results over the past handful of years. He wrote a book called Improving Lead Generation for B2B SaaS marketers, and in it you can find everything about evolving from demand generation to conversation generation. This is going to help you think strategically about content and lead generation by, firstly, understanding the intent of your prospect per phase of their buyer journey. Secondly, tailoring your content offers to the intent of the buyer in that phase. Third, offer and get more conversations with your potential customers besides just the demo. Fourth, it's going to help you own the narrative and get more quality leads, proven by Brian and multiple companies, to increase conversion rates in sales conversations by upwards of 100%. If you want to read more, learn more about this, go to StoryLab AI or directly to Amazon, download the book, and check it out. Now, how to start building a storytelling strategy. How do the bits and pieces come together for us and our audience? So we figured out how to create great stories. We figured out we want to approach it as a growth storytelling strategy, but how do these little bits and pieces come together? Well, one way to think about this is to use our storytelling strategy canvas. So this is the growth storytelling strategy framework, which actually helps you set up your storytelling strategy. This framework is actually also inspired by something by Bamboo, growth hacking agency from Amsterdam. Their growth model canvas helps you map out your entire growth hacking strategy or growth strategy. And when working with Bamboo and working with other customers, I sometimes like to use the growth model canvas as a broader canvas for the growth hacking strategy. But again, that's a story for another day. And then I go into the growth storytelling strategy framework to figure out what the storytelling strategy needs to be. So what this storytelling framework helps you do is it helps you map out your audience needs across the see, think, do, care phases. It helps you map your company goals and translate it to KPIs that you want to improve. It helps you translate your brand messaging to 5 or less topic areas. And then it helps you translate that messaging to post types and frequency. Finally, you can translate the whole storytelling strategy to your content calendar where you plan and execute on actual content that you're going to send out now strategically and plan. What you do then is you create, track KPIs, iterate, adapt, and grow. Also, this storytelling strategy framework is a resource that we have a little bit more information about on our website. You can follow the link in the lower right-hand corner once you get the slide deck, and you'll be able to read more about the growth storytelling strategy framework, download it for free, and start using it for your own strategy. So we've set up our stories, we've set up our strategy, we set up our demand gen strategy and our storytelling strategy. Now, how do we make sure our stories actually get seen and engaged with by enough of the right people? This is where content distribution comes into play. Now, my good friend and co-founder at StoryLab, Raul Tiru, which is our, well, you could say CMO, head of growth marketing, says that for a lot of people, content distribution, a lot of people in the content marketing space, content distribution can be very, very daunting. So what are the 3 main things to focus on? Is 1, figure out first which channels to focus on. 2, figure out which content to focus on first. 3, distribute your content constantly over time. So what that means is don't go trying to be on all possible available channels all at the same time. This is the last thing you want to do. Second, there's some content that's going to be more important to you advancing your goals right now and to your audience. So focus on that first. And thirdly, don't just start, distributing your content and then let it die out. No, instead, set up a process where you keep constantly over time distributing your content and spreading like a wildfire in the market. Or like a drop in a pond. It's probably a better metaphor, happier metaphor. So, okay, let's take a little bit more time to question. How much time do you think we should spend on distribution? Think about this for a second. If you're with us live, drop your answer in the chat. Do you think it should be A, 80% of time for content creation and 20% for distribution? Do you think B, 50% of the time for content creation and 50% of the time for distribution? Or do you think C, 30% of the time for content creation and 70% for distribution? Take your time, ponder your question. Maybe if you're with us live, you can elaborate by adding 1 or 2 sentences to your answer. Now let's see. What our stance is that you want to spend as much time on content distribution as on the creation of it. And the main reason for that is that you don't want to let your valuable, hard, and smart work go to waste. Give it the maximum chances of being seen and being effective in the market by spending as much time on the distribution as in the creation of it. To help you with that, we've actually created, or my friend, my co-founder Raul has created the content distribution framework. As you can see, this is a Google Sheet. You can read more about it on our website. And just to give you an idea of what the thing looks like. Oh, going the wrong direction again. This framework can help you set up a great distribution strategy and process. So you go to our website, you open the content distribution framework. It's also a free resource. You read about it, read about how to apply it, how to work with it. You duplicate it and create your own version. follow the steps in the document, and create your own strategy. And then don't forget, execute continuously. And the framework will actually help you do that continuously. Now, a couple last pointers. Feedback is a storyteller's best friend. So listen, look, ask questions to your data, and at least equally importantly, to your humans, the people that you know around you, your network, your potential customers. Talk to them, ask them questions. What do they need? How are they responding to your content? How are they liking it? What else do they want to hear from you about?